The idea of an inner and an outer consciousness is also a phase of hypnosis, for the theory imposes a sense of separation or division. There is in reality not an inner and an outer consciousness, nor a personal consciousness and a universal one. When the self becomes conscious in the outer, it is only one attitude of consciousness, and it is complete in every way, and it is one in and with universal consciousness. I and my Father are one. We are then not conscious of an inner, for the inner and outer are one. The whole is always evident. If we see and project our vision or our idea, it is for that complete wholeness. The masters call that being of sound mind, or completely sound in consciousness. It is perfectly sound and whole. The body is perfectly sound and perfectly whole as well. The knower and the thing known become one. Paul included that in his writings, but it was never included in the translations. We can become the known as well as the knower, if we will complete the two and bring them together. The trouble is that we make a separation when in reality none exist. The practice of denial as an effective means of liberation into this perfect state should also be intelligently considered in this light. Denial is supposed to erase from the mind or blot out of consciousness, hence out of man's being, an experience or process that is not true or that is seemingly opposed to its perfect state of completion or oneness. But is the ordinary use of denial as practiced in our metaphysics an efficient means of bringing about this liberation? If the denial, as it is commonly used, produces the desired result, then well and good. But if not, let us find out what is back of it and what is the efficient practice involved. Let us take a specific case of denial in its relationship to what is commonly considered the law of heredity. Denial is in no sense necessary. It has a tendency always to plunge one further into illusion, because the denial keeps the mind fixed upon the condition, and it is thereby more likely to intensify that condition. The mind naturally enlarges upon that condition toward which it is directed. The purpose is that the condition be eliminated entirely, and, in order for this to be brought about, it must be put out of consideration altogether. It is not to be countenanced. In reality, there is no law of heredity. It is only a manifestation. It is not necessary to deny something that does not exist. You will find it far better to put perfection in the place of denial. You will get quicker results. Usually a denial holds it closer to the individual, whereas by putting perfection in the place of the denial, you realize that condition far more quickly, and it does not matter what the condition is. It has been shown by repeated experiments that it is far better to simply release the condition, free it entirely through non-attention, dismiss it. That was evidently Jesus' meaning when he said, "Loose him and let him go." There is neither race nor family heredity, for the one presupposes the other. People may look alike, but this is always because of some former close relationship or similarity of past experience and environment. There is an apparent chromosomatic condition that shows processes of evolution running parallel, but these processes are not in reality parallel processes or parallel evolutionary conditions. They do, of course, run parallel with the human race as well as with the animal kingdom, but not with the same frequency by any means. It is a well-known fact today that every frequency of the human body is above that of the animal frequency. The transmission of the acquired characteristics can be influenced through the thought, but it can also be set aside through the reversal of thought. It is a state of mind that causes the characteristics of form, and similarity in form is due to the similarity of mental and emotional experiences of individuals in a group. Two people not much alike in the beginning, through long association with each other and enduring the same general mental and emotional reactions, ultimately develop similar characteristics. A man and a woman living together over a period of years, if they have sympathetic interest and mutual emotional reactions, begin to look alike. This is a reproduction of similar mental states. Medical science today is quite reversing its former opinions regarding the hereditary disease. When Jesus healed the epileptic, the disciples wanted to know whether the man or his parents had sinned. This was his direct answer. Neither this man nor his parents have sinned unless you see the sin. It was only sin because of the thought of the parents or those surrounding them. In reality, the only sin connected with the condition was the sin of erroneous thinking. The so-called law of karma comes under the same category. It can be proved today that there is no debt of karma, that the soul does not bring any of this through. Spiritual understanding takes no account of karmic conditions or any imperfect condition. It is as foolish as to say that one must correct his mistakes in mathematics before he can study the rule. The fact is that the mistake is erased of itself when one applies himself to the rule. One's access to the rule is always direct, no matter what his mistakes are, and once the rule is known and followed, there are no false results. The leading and better universities in India, and particularly Dr. Bose of Calcutta University, are making the statement today that there would be no appearance of what we call heredity if people would drop it out of their thought completely. Even with the plant, heredity may be shown, but it can be corrected by the thought of the people surrounding that plant. That which is commonly accepted as inherited insanity is only a condition fastened upon the victims by other people. They are in parallel groups. It is an attraction and not an inheritance. Instead of accepting this theory of heredity, Paul's idea that we have an inheritance from God that is immutable and cannot be changed should be substituted. This is the effective denial of race heredity, the substitution of the true for the false, leaving the false entirely outside the range of our consideration. God has nothing to do with things that obsess the human mind, and we as sons of God need not have. Jesus said to call no man on earth your father, for one is your Father which is in heaven. This, then, is man's true line of inheritance, and to get out of his mind these intervening mental processes, he has but to return to the foundation fact of his being. In the beginning, God created, that is, the beginning of all creation is in God. That does not refer to time, but to fact. With nothing in his thought between himself and his beginning, there could be no other line of inheritance, for nothing would have access to his being from any other source. Thought is always the determining factor, and by returning always to his beginning, God, man, always inherits through his own mind that which is from his beginning.